Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Tszyu was screwed. Yeah, I said it, and I meant it, and I believe it. That shit looked like a crime scene in there. Blood everywhere. From Tszyu's head, from Fundora's cockroach man's nose, mouth. It was just horrible. But it's unfortunate for Tszyu because he can still go out and do great things like his father, but I think Tszyu kind of got screwed a little bit here, man. You see, that elbow that got him on top of his head, that referee, in my opinion, he should have immediately, when that second round began, stopped the fight to me. Stop the fight, no contest, just set up a rematch. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that blood was hemorrhaging out of that cut, down into Tszyu's face, into his eye, the tone of that fight immediately changed. Because in that first round, Tszyu was putting the Aussie beans on Fundora. And you just saw after the cut, that Fundora, even though his face was messed up, he got his nose broke. That shit, I don't know how his nose is gonna look once he goes in here. I'm sure he has to get plastic surgery. But the bottom line is you can see that the tide was starting to change. You know, Tszyu was very concerned about that cut. But I think Tszyu deserves another opportunity at boxing superstardom. I really do. I just don't think Fundora really earned that belt. But don't get me wrong, it's a fight. Things happen, right? But I don't think so, man. But you gotta excuse me. But what I'll say is this: Tszyu didn't complain because I was waiting for that. Because remember, he said, boxers are, he said, pussies these days. But Tszyu, stuck to his guns, didn't complain, just basically said, hey, it happens. But because he was so gracious in defeat, I think the right thing to do is to give him another opportunity against Fundora. Because I tell you what, Fundora, all the credit goes to Tszyu tonight, not Fundora. Because Tszyu, I'm sure he could have protested and had the fight stopped and just went no contest and retained his belt. He didn't do that. He said, nope, I'm going to fight through it. Maybe that was a dumb decision. But you can see the referee and those guys, I mean, the doctor, they were just waiting for him basically to make the call and say, hey, this is creating too many problems. And they would have went to the scorecards or within 4 rounds, so no contest. But anyway, now we got to see what happens. Because there are a lot of people saying there's no way Tszyu could have got a decision over there in the United States. What I'll say is something does seem a little bit off. Because as soon as Fundora, as soon as he was declared the victor, I mean, they immediately ushered Earl Spence into the ring and start talking about Fundora Spence. There was no talk of a rematch. Fundora saying, hey, well, he gave me an opportunity and, I'll be glad to give him an opportunity. Fundora didn't let any of those words come out of his mouth. I think everything with Fundora was rehearsed. Kind of like, when you get the win, because it almost seems like this shit was just set up for Fundora to get the victory. And it makes me feel like they were like, yo, when you get the victory, don't say anything about a rematch. And then Earl Spence will come in the ring. Gotta excuse me, man. I've been up all since like 6 this morning, 5:30 this morning, and I had sports all day with my sons. So it's midnight now. So I'm tired. But I'm sure that they want to make sure that they could shift the energy towards Fundora fighting Earl Spence. But Tszyu is still ready to fight Crawford. He's still ready to fight Spence. But I don't know, man. When you took it, that round 1 and round 2, I just feel without that cut, Tszyu would have won. He would have won, man. Like I ain't gonna lie, I feel a little bad for him. I do. But then you got Joe Goosen, who's a goddamn bozo, talking about Tszyu foolishly ran into Fundora's elbow. Like that shit was so biased, man. That is sick, man. To have guys on there that are so damn biased. But the bottom line is Fundora threw more punches. I ought to delete this video, man. All this damn yawning. But Fundora threw more punches. You know, he added more power shots. But I just think Tim Tszyu was screwed. Last minute replacement, but Tszyu fought. Then to get elbowed in his head, and we'll see what he's gonna do next. But Tim Tszyu's a star. He'll bounce back. But if Fundora and his team, if they have any integrity, which they don't, they'll give Tim Tszyu a rematch. But they're not going to do that because Tim Tszyu was showing us in the first couple of rounds why he's a problem at 154, because he was putting them Aussie beings on what's his name, Fundora. Any other fighter out there, you get cut like that, it changes the game. It changes the way you operate. You know what I'm saying? That cut was bad. That's why I didn't hear anyone out here saying Tim Tszyu was a hype job. But what I will say is, but it's a lot going on when you think about this blood coming down your eye. Tim Tszyu, I was waiting for him to kind of shoot the right to the body, then come upstairs with the left hook, because Fundora has no head movement. No head movement. Or come with the overhand right, you know, not just throw it straight, loop it up on top. But I don't know. But we'll see what the future holds for him, man. He got a really bad cut. Let me show you this. Let me see if I can show you this right here. Window capture. Let me show you something here. It's pretty bad. Check this out. Look at that. That's that cut that was on top of Fundora's head. And people out here still saying that there was nothing wrong. Look at that shit. Look at that cut on Fundora's head. And how can you say that fight should have been allowed to continue? That is crazy. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. But Tim Tszyu, man, him and Fundora, they crash up each other. Tim Tszyu just unfortunately got the worst end of the stick with that elbow to his top of his head and profuse bleeding. I just think, man, it's like if it was me, I wouldn't be comfortable with that win. I mean, you know, you take it, but I wouldn't be comfortable with that win. Tim Tszyu shouldn't feel bad. He shouldn't feel bad. Period. Just return and keep doing what you've been doing. Everyone knows that was bullshit. I'm not saying he was robbed on the scorecards, but what I'm saying is that ref, they should have stopped that fight. When you look at this hole in his head, I don't care what you say. They should have stopped that goddamn fight. But it is what it is. They both live to fight another day. I think Sebastian Fundora loses next. I think Tim Tszyu picks up where he left off and keeps putting the Aussie beings on people. Fighting Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence, I doubt they're going to want to fight him now. But who knows? You may see him, if Fundora fights Spence and he has to give it the WBO belt, because of how he lost, the WBO may make Tszyu versus Crawford for the vacant strap. You just don't know how this shit's gonna go. So he may still get an opportunity to prove himself against one of the biggest names in boxing. We just gotta wait and see. But that being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.